In a quiet town, the tranquility of the local police station was abruptly disrupted when a little boy arrived shouting, "Please, please arrest my dad!" This unexpected plea left everyone bewildered, unable to imagine that the reason behind the boy's actions would deeply shock them all. On a radiant Thursday morning, tranquility reigned at the San Miguel police station. The fans spun lazily, struggling to alleviate the stifling heat as the officers savored their coffee and filled out reports with disinterest. It was a typical day of calm, reflecting the serene nature of the town. However, this peace was abruptly interrupted. The doors of the police station burst open with surprising force, revealing a figure of a boy with short curly hair and wide eyes marked by terror. He ran in, his eyes swollen from crying, casting desperate glances around in search of anyone who could help. It was Samuel, a child of just 7 years, notably small for his age and visibly terrified. Without hesitation, the boy advanced toward the reception, his small feet producing a rhythmic sound against the cold ceramic floor. With his little hands, he clung to the counter with all his strength, struggling to lift himself enough to get the attention of an adult who could offer assistance. "Please, please arrest my dad," he whispered in a trembling voice laden with despair that reverberated throughout the room, capturing the immediate attention of all the officers present. At first, there was visible confusion among them. They exchanged perplexed looks, some interrupting their coffee breaks by setting down their cups while others instantly abandoned the documents they were engrossed in. The boy's declaration caused an immediate uproar, stirring the atmosphere of the police station with a mix of urgency and concern. He looked at the officers, his eyes brimming with anguish, and implored again, "You need to arrest him. He has to go to jail immediately." Officer Claudia, a young policewoman with a gentle gaze, rushed over, drawn by the desperate plea that had reached her office. She approached with a gesture full of maternal care, taking Samuel's hand and leading him to a nearby bench. "Calm down, sweetie. Come here. Sit down," she said, lowering herself to meet the boy's eyes, trying to bathe him with a sense of security. "It's all right now. You're safe here with us," she spoke soothingly, stroking Samuel's hair in an attempt to ease his fear. Samuel, in turn, felt his heart pounding frantically, his shoulders trembling involuntarily, and tears streaming down his face. The situation enveloped him in a shroud of vulnerability and fear, making each heartbeat a palpable reminder of his state of unrest. Meanwhile, one of the officers maintained his composure, seeking to project an aura of security and understanding. He leaned toward Samuel, his voice tinged with a comforting note. "What happened, dear? You don't need to cry. You're safe with us. Can you tell us what happened?" His words, though imbued with comforting intentions, seemed to float aimlessly, unable to penetrate the invisible barrier surrounding the frightened boy. Samuel clung to Claudia's shirt, his eyes still wide and filled with tears, while the station's hall was engulfed in an atmosphere thick with confusion and concern. Around them, every officer exchanged uneasy glances, reflecting a mix of curiosity and alarm as murmurs circulated discreetly, fueled by the unspoken question, "What did this boy's father do?" However, the most poignant aspect was the evident weight of Samuel's words, bearing a burden too heavy for his young shoulders, a load of emotional weight that no child his age should have to carry. Officer Claudia, still seated beside the little boy, exhibited a blend of determination and compassion. She leaned towards Samuel again, trying once more to break through the wall of pain and silence that encircled him. "Come on, sweetie," she said softly, attempting to offer comfort while gently drying the tears that insisted on tracing paths down Samuel's cheeks. Her calm voice aimed to convey a silent promise of protection and understanding, hoping to soothe the emotional storm overwhelming the boy. The station chief, Mr. Johnson, a man of imposing stature with silver hair meticulously combed back, rose from his desk with an authoritative posture. With measured steps, he approached the little boy, his presence filling the space with a blend of respect and anticipation as he attempted to unravel the enigma before him. "Hello, little one," he said, his deep voice echoing with an unexpected warmth. "What are you doing here alone? Why did you come here, huh?" Samuel's rapid, strained breathing betrayed his deep anguish. Even in the center of a circle of protective figures, there was a shine of vulnerability in his eyes, a reflection of fear that transcended the physical security of the environment. Each sob was a tangible reminder of his situation, a raw expression of a young heart facing a distressing reality wrapped in a shroud of insecurity that even the walls of the police station couldn't dissipate. Despite the questions, Samuel remained quiet, his head bowed. Gradually, a growing wave of officers, driven by both curiosity and concern, began to gather around the boy, forming a semicircle around him. With a voice that carried the intention to calm and assure, Chief Johnson leaned in again and asked, "Come on, sweetie, can you tell us what happened at your house?" Samuel made an attempt to respond, but the words he tried to form were interrupted, emerging in a broken and confused manner. "Arrest him. He can't stay at home with me. I want him to go to jail. Please," he pleaded, his voice carrying a mix of despair and urgency. His plea resonated with a force that amplified the sense of fear among all present, making the gravity of the situation palpable in the boy's disjointed words. Noticing the increasing crowd of curious officers gathering around with concern that threatened to further intimidate the little boy, the police and the chief made a prompt decision. They concluded that it was essential to change the environment to a space that offered more privacy and security for Samuel to express himself. With delicacy and a clear intention to protect him from further stress, they decided to take him to the interrogation room. This choice reflected not only a strategy to preserve Samuel's emotional integrity, but also an effort to ensure that his voice, no matter how fragile, would be heard with the attention and seriousness the situation demanded. "Come, dear," said the policewoman with a soft tone, gently helping the boy up. "Let's go to a quieter place to talk, okay?" Settling into the chair in the room designated for more private conversations, the little boy seemed to find a certain comfort, a temporary relief that made him relax slightly. Noticing this change, the policewoman took advantage of the moment to delve deeper into the conversation. "Tell me, Samuel, what happened? Did your dad hurt you? Did he do something to hurt you?" Claudia, with a mix of delicacy and determination, hoped to obtain some concrete clue that could guide her action. However, as he tried to articulate a response, Samuel's expression transformed into visible frustration, a clear sign of his internal struggle to express such complex and painful feelings. "Dad gets mad sometimes." Samuel's words faded away, disappearing before he could complete his thought, leaving a dense cloud of uncertainties and speculations in the air. "How does he get mad, dear?" the policewoman asked, her voice blending concern and gentleness. At that moment, the room was taken over by expectant silence. The officers present, their minds in a frenzy, began piecing together the dark puzzle, imagining scenarios none of them wanted to confront. They questioned if they were facing a case of domestic violence or abuse. What could be so severe that a child would seek refuge at the police station and beg for his father's arrest? The chief, sensing the weight of the moment and the sadness in Samuel's eyes when mentioning his father, lowered himself to the boy's eye level and with a gentle voice tried to convey security and understanding. "We'll help you, Samuel," he said kindly. "But for that, I need you to try and tell us a little more, okay?" Still struggling to hold back tears, Samuel nodded, a simple but significant gesture that demonstrated his trust in those who were willing to help him. "All right then, I'll ask you some questions and you can answer with yes or no, okay?" suggested the chief, seeking to make it easier for Samuel to share his experience without feeling overwhelmed. Johnson, trying to clarify the situation, asked gently, "Is your dad home now?" "Yes," murmured Samuel in a brief response that revealed his distress. "And how did you get out of the house?" he continued, encouraging him to share more. Wiping away the tears that still fell, Samuel revealed, "Dad was sleeping. I unlocked the door and ran." The chief and the policewoman, focusing on unraveling the boy's confused narrative, sought details that could illuminate the case. With a voice full of maternal care, the policewoman asked, "Samuel, is your dad very aggressive? Does he hit you?" Samuel's hesitation before responding was palpable, as if weighing each word. I've been hit a few times," he confessed, his breath quickening. Samuel's response intensified the officers' concern, exacerbating the already tense atmosphere. They asked for the address of his house. Despite not knowing precise details, the directions Samuel provided were enough to locate where he and his father lived, a nearby area with a polluted creek, making it easy to identify the residents. When the chief asked about Samuel's mother, the atmosphere became even heavier. Dad said she went for a walk, but she never came back. Samuel's simple recounting of his mother's disappearance petrified everyone present. The gravity of the situation became increasingly evident, with the realization that they were dealing with a case far more complex and distressing than anticipated. Without hesitation, a team of officers was dispatched to Samuel's residence. The urgency of the mission was palpable as they moved swiftly towards the indicated location. Arriving at a humble wooden house, marked by the passage of time and neglect, they found Michael, Samuel's father. His appearance, a man with unkempt hair, thin and disoriented, a hint of desperation in his eyes, struck the officers immediately. This fragile and tormented image clashed starkly with the notion of an aggressor, yet the need for action prevailed. Michael was promptly arrested and taken to the police station for questioning. His initial reaction of confusion and disorientation only intensified the tension. The fear that had driven Samuel to the station now seemed to manifest in Michael, creating an unsettling sense of unresolved mystery. Upon their return to the police station, Michael's appearance continued to contrast with the image of a violent aggressor. A visibly thin man with deep-set eyes, reflecting malnutrition, he seemed more a victim of circumstance than a perpetrator of violence. As the officers guided him through the station's corridors, whispers of curiosity and speculation swirled among the personnel, struggling to reconcile this fragile figure with the allegations against him. At that moment, when Samuel, still surrounded by the compassionate gaze of the officers, saw his father, his reaction was both surprising and heart-wrenching. In an instinctive gesture of love and need, Samuel broke free from the gentle restraint of those around him and ran to Michael, wrapping his small arms around him with desperation. The embrace, initially received with confusion by the officers, eventually revealed the deeper truth behind Samuel's plea. Between sobs, the boy found the strength to explain, "I asked for his arrest because I thought he could eat in jail." Samuel confessed through his tears, his words unveiling a painful and raw reality. "I saw on TV that prisoners eat 3 times a day. I thought he could eat there. He's so hungry," he continued, his voice breaking with emotion. At that moment, an overwhelming silence enveloped the police station. The officers, their hearts heavy, were faced with an unimaginable reality. The boy's plea was born from a profound love and desperation, a misunderstanding shaped by the innocence of a child who had witnessed his father's suffering and sought an unusual solution to ensure his survival. Moved by the situation, the officers released Michael and they returned home with a newfound understanding and love for each other. The following morning, their community, deeply moved by their story, brought baskets of food, new clothes, and toys. Additionally, the police chief offered Michael a job as a janitor at the station, providing him with the means to support his son. Samuel's simple, desperate act of love inspired the community to mobilize in support of those in need, organizing donation fairs and assistance programs. Their story became a beacon of inspiration, demonstrating the power of compassion and the impact of community support.